The universe was silent. No sound, no voice, only darkness. Far away from Earth, far beyond human eyes, the Milky Way galaxy slowly moved through space. Inside this giant galaxy, billions of stars burned quietly. Planets traveled around them like tiny dust particles. Everything looked calm, but this calm was not real. Inside this peaceful galaxy, humanity was trapped. On Earth, people lived normal lives. Cities were full of light. Planes flew in the sky. Satellites moved above the planet. Humans believed they were free, but they were not. They were stuck inside a cosmic cage. No human had ever left the Milky Way galaxy, not even close. And one day, a desperate call changed everything. A signal from the dark at a secret space research center deep underground. Scientists watched their screens. Numbers moved, lights blinked, computers hummed softly. Dr. Elias Carter stood still. He was not young, his hair was gray, his face showed years of stress. He had spent his entire life studying space. Suddenly, one screen began to flash red. A warning sound filled the room. Beep, beep, beep. Everyone stopped. A young scientist looked at the data again and again. His hands started to shake. This is not possible, he whispered. Dr. Carter walked closer. What is it? He asked calmly. The young scientist swallowed. We are receiving a signal, he said. But it is not from Earth. It is not from our solar system. Dr. Carter's eyes narrowed. Where is it from? He asked. The room became silent. The answer was terrifying. It is coming from the edge of the Milky Way. Why this call was different. Humans had received space signals before. Radio waves, noise, random energy, but this was different. This signal was clear, it was repeating, and it was intelligent. On the screen, a simple pattern appeared again and again. It was not chaos, it was not natural, it was a message. Dr. Carter felt cold. For the first time in his life, space did not feel empty, it felt alive and dangerous. The question that broke the room as scientists worked fast, the signal was decoded into a simple form. It was not a voice. It was not words. It was coordinates, space coordinates. They pointed to a location far, far away near the outer boundary of the Milky Way galaxy. One scientist finally asked the question everyone feared. Why would anyone send a signal from there? No one answered. Dr. Carter knew the truth. Only something desperate would call from such a place. Only something trapped, just like humans. The Milky Way, a giant prison. The Milky Way galaxy is huge. It is more than 100,000 light-years wide. Light, the fastest thing in the universe, takes 100,000 years to cross it. Humans are slow. The fastest spacecraft ever built would need millions of years to reach the edge. This galaxy holds over 400 billion stars, and all of humanity lives around just one small star, the Sun. Leaving the galaxy was never part of human plans. It was impossible until now. The fearful realization. Dr. Carter looked at the image of the galaxy on the screen. A glowing spiral of stars, beautiful, deadly. He spoke slowly. If this signal is real, he said, then something is trying to leave the Milky Way. The room froze. A scientist laughed nervously. That's not possible, he said. Nothing can leave the galaxy. Dr. Carter looked at him. Then why are they calling us? He asked. Silence returned, a message without words. As hours passed, the signal became stronger. It was like a heartbeat, slow, steady, urgent, no language, no images, only one clear meaning. Help. This was not a greeting. This was not a warning. This was a desperate call. Humanity's biggest fear for centuries, humans believed space was empty. Cold, silent, safe, but this signal changed everything. What if something tried to escape the galaxy and failed? What if the Milky Way was not just big but dangerous? What if the galaxy itself was a trap, the unspoken truth? Dr. Carter closed his eyes. He remembered old theories, black holes at the center of the galaxy, dark matter holding everything together, gravity so strong that nothing could escape. The Milky Way was not just a home, it was a prison made of stars, and humans had never questioned it, until now. A decision that changed history. The world's top scientists were called. Governments were informed. The signal was kept secret from the public. People were not ready. One question stood above all others. Should humans answer the call? If they replied, they could reveal Earth's location. If they stayed silent, they might miss the only chance to learn the truth. Dr. Carter made the decision. We answer, he said, because if someone out there is trapped like us, we need to know why. The reply, a simple signal, was sent back. No words, only a pattern, a sign of intelligence, a sign of life. Then they waited. Minutes passed, hours passed, nothing. Just when hope started to fade, the signal changed. It responded. The final shock. New data appeared. The response was short, simple, terrifying. The message was translated into meaning. You cannot leave. The room filled with fear. Dr. Carter felt his heart race. The message continued. The galaxy will not let you go. End of part 1. Cliffhanger. Dr. Carter whispered softly, then why did you call us? The screen went dark, the signal stopped. Outside, the Milky Way continued to shine peacefully. But humanity now knew the truth. They were not alone, and they were not free. To be continued. The signal did not return. Not after 1 hour, not after 1 day, not even after 1 week. The universe became silent again, but this silence was heavier than before. Inside the research center, scientists felt it. Something had changed. Space felt closer, darker, watching. Dr. Elias Carter stood alone in the control room. The galaxy map still glowed on the giant screen. The Milky Way looked calm, like nothing had happened. But the warning echoed in his mind. You cannot leave. Silence is not empty. Humans believed silence meant nothing, but in space silence meant danger. If someone called for help and then vanished, it meant only two things: they escaped or they were stopped. Dr. Carter feared the second. The data that should not exist. A week later, a strange discovery was made. A small fluctuation appeared in deep space sensors, very weak, almost invisible. A young analyst noticed it by accident. "This reading is wrong," she said. Dr. Carter leaned forward. "Explain," he said. "The signal is bending," she replied. "Space itself is bending." That was impossible. Space only bends near massive objects like black holes. The dark heart of the galaxy at the center of the Milky Way lies something ancient. A supermassive black hole. Its name is Sagittarius A*. It is 4 million times heavier than the Sun. Everything in the galaxy moves around it, including humans. Dr. Carter had studied it for years. He knew its power, but what the data showed was worse. The bending was not coming from the center, it was coming from the edge. A wall without shape. Scientists tried to map the region, but something strange happened. Their instruments failed, telescopes lost focus, signals returned late. Time measurements became unstable. It felt like the galaxy had an invisible wall. Not a physical wall, a gravitational one, a force holding everything inside. Dr. Carter spoke quietly. "What if the Milky Way is not just a galaxy?" he asked. "What if it is a system? The forbidden theory." There was an old theory, forgotten, ignored. It suggested galaxies might be closed systems, designed to hold matter, designed to trap energy, designed to stop escape. Most scientists called it nonsense, but now the data was pointing toward it. The desperate call might not have come from beings, it might have come from survivors. A civilization that tried to run. Dr. Carter shared his thoughts. "What if another civilization tried to leave?" he said. "What if they reached the edge?" The room stayed quiet. "And what if," he continued, "the galaxy reacted?" A scientist whispered, "Like a living thing." No one laughed. The cost of curiosity. The research team pushed further. They sent probes toward the edge, not ships. Not humans, just machines. One probe crossed a certain distance, then it slowed down, its signal stretched. Time for the probe became different. Seconds inside became minutes outside. Then the signal broke, the probe vanished. The galaxy pushes back. That was the moment they understood. The Milky Way did not want things to leave. Gravity increased near the edge, energy drained faster, space twisted. Any object trying to escape was pulled back or destroyed. Dr. Carter closed his eyes. "This is not a border," he said. "It is a defense." The call was a warning. The desperate call was not asking for help. It was a warning. Someone had reached the truth before humans. Someone had paid the price. The message was clear now. Do not try. Fear spreads quietly. Governments demanded answers. Military leaders asked about threats, but there was no enemy to fight. The enemy was the galaxy itself. People on Earth still lived normal lives. They looked at stars with wonder. They did not know those stars were holding them. Dr. Carter's private fear. Alone in his office, Dr. Carter stared at Earth's image. A blue dot, so small, so fragile. If humans could not leave the galaxy, then their future was locked. One galaxy, one chance, a hidden possibility, but Dr. Carter was not ready to give up. There was one idea left, a dangerous one, a theory that space itself could fold. Not by speed, not by force, but by shortcuts. He whispered the word. Wormholes. End of part 2. Cliffhanger. If a wall cannot be broken, it must be bypassed, but wormholes were unstable, deadly, and possibly watched. As the galaxy map dimmed, one question remained. If the Milky Way is alive, what happens when humans try to cheat it? To be continued. Space is not empty. That was the first lie humans believed. Space is full of rules, invisible laws, silent limits, and sometimes doors. The idea that scared everyone. Dr. Elias Carter stood before the world's top scientists. The room was quiet. Everyone was waiting. He spoke slowly. "We cannot break the wall of the galaxy," he said. "We cannot outrun it, and we cannot fight it." He paused. "But maybe we can avoid it." A screen lit up behind him. One word appeared. Wormholes. Some scientists looked excited. Others looked afraid, because wormholes were not just science. They were danger. What is a wormhole? Simple truth. Dr. Carter explained in simple words. "Imagine space like a sheet of paper," he said. "2 points are very far." He folded the paper. "If the paper bends, those 2 points touch. That bend," he continued, "is a wormhole, a shortcut, not faster speed, shorter distance. Why humans never used them? Wormholes were only theory. No one had ever seen one. No one had ever entered one. They were unstable. Violent, deadly, radiation inside could tear atoms apart. Time could slow down or stop. A human body would not survive. At least that's what everyone believed. The discovery that changed everything. A young scientist raised her hand. "There is something you need to see," she said. She displayed deep space data. A strange region appeared near the galaxy's edge. Space there was folded, compressed, twisted. Dr. Carter leaned forward. "That's not a black hole," he said. "No." She replied, "It's something else." The room fell silent. A natural door. The data showed something impossible. A stable spacefold, not collapsing, not violent, quiet like a sleeping tunnel, a natural wormhole existing without human creation, hidden inside the Milky Way. Dr. Carter whispered, "The galaxy has a door." The terrifying question: if the galaxy had a door, why was it there? Doors are made to be used or guarded. One scientist asked the question no one wanted to say. What if the galaxy allows exit but only one way? No answer came. The first test: humans would not risk people. They sent a probe, a simple machine, no emotions, no fear. The probe moved slowly toward the wormhole. Data streamed back, heartbeats of machines. As it entered the edge of the fold, something strange happened. The probe's clock slowed. Outside, minutes passed. Inside, only seconds. Time itself was bending. Inside the wormhole, the probe sent images, not clear, not sharp, but visible. Space inside looked like stretched light, colors that should not exist, movement without direction. The probe was not moving forward, space was moving around it. Dr. Carter felt cold. "This is not travel," he said, "this is falling." The signal from before: suddenly a pattern appeared, a familiar one, the same pattern from the desperate call, the message from part 1. It was embedded inside the wormhole, like a scar, like a memory. Dr. Carter understood. "They came through here," he said, "the ones who warned us." The truth about the warning was not about escape, it was about survival. The message was clearer now. Leaving is possible, but returning is not. The probe reached the center of the wormhole, its signal stretched thin, then it stopped. Gone. No explosion, no noise, just absence. Where did it go? The room waited. Seconds felt like hours. Then a new signal appeared, very weak, very far. The probe was still transmitting, but not from inside the Milky Way. It was outside, beyond the galaxy. Humans had done it. They crossed the boundary. Victory that felt like fear. Celebration did not come. Instead, fear grew because something was wrong. The probe's data showed a dead universe, no stars nearby, no galaxies close, just darkness, cold, empty. The Milky Way was surrounded by nothing. The final realization: Dr. Carter spoke softly. "The galaxy is not trapping us," he said, "it is protecting us." Outside the Milky Way was not freedom, it was death. The desperate call was not saying help us escape, it was saying do not follow us. The price of curiosity: the probe's signal faded. Forever. Humans now knew the truth. They could leave, but they would not survive. The galaxy was a shelter, a fragile island of light in endless dark. End of part 3. Cliffhanger. Dr. Carter looked at the stars one last time. "If wormholes lead to death," he said, "why do they exist?" And a darker question followed. What if something else uses them, something that comes in instead of going out? The stars did not change. They still shined. They still looked beautiful. But now humans knew the truth. The Milky Way was not alone, and it was not unguarded. A question that would not die. Dr. Elias Carter could not sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, one thought returned. If wormholes exist, who is using them? Nature does not create doors for no reason. Doors mean movement, and movement means intention. The silence that felt observed after the probe disappeared, something strange began to happen. Satellites around Earth started to record small errors, tiny delays, very small shifts in time. Nothing dangerous, but not normal. Clocks in space no longer agreed with clocks on Earth. The difference was small but growing. Dr. Carter knew what this meant. Something was bending space again, but this time not at the edge of the galaxy, closer. They were not coming out. The first assumption was wrong. Humans thought wormholes were exits, but the data showed something else. Energy patterns moved inward, toward the galaxy, toward the stars, toward Earth's direction. Dr. Carter spoke in a low voice. "They are not doors to leave," he said. "They are doors to enter." The watchers: no ships appeared, no lights in the sky, no alien invasion, only changes, subtle, silent, as if something was watching without being seen, observing, learning, waiting. Scientists named them the Watchers, not because they were seen, but because they were felt. An old signal returns one night. The original desperate signal returned, but it was different. Clearer, stronger. It no longer felt afraid. It felt calm, almost confident. Dr. Carter stared at the screen. "This is not a warning anymore," he said. "This is a message." The meaning hidden in time. The signal was not decoded by sound, it was decoded by time. The message repeated every few seconds, but each repeat arrived slightly earlier than expected. Time was folding. The signal was arriving before it was sent. A paradox. Someone was using wormholes not to move in space, but to move in time. The terrifying possibility: if someone could send messages backward in time, they could watch history. They could observe civilizations. They could wait until the right moment. Dr. Carter felt cold. What if they have always been here, he asked. What if they watched the rise of humanity? No one answered. Why the Milky Way matters. Data showed something important. The Watchers were not everywhere. They focused on galaxies like the Milky Way. Spiral galaxies, rich in stars, rich in life-building elements, galaxies like islands, rare, precious. Dr. Carter realized the truth. The Milky Way was not a cage, it was a farm, not gods, not monsters. The Watchers were not gods, they did not create humans, they did not rule openly. They observed, like scientists, like collectors. They waited for civilizations to reach a certain level, curiosity, technology, wormholes, then they appeared silently. The purpose of the door wormholes were not mistakes, they were filters. Only civilizations advanced enough to find them would activate attention. The desperate call was from a species that reached too far, too fast. They saw what was outside and what was watching. They tried to warn others before disappearing. A choice humanity did not want. Dr. Carter addressed the council. "We have two choices," he said. "One, stop exploring. Two, continue and be seen." Stopping meant safety, exploring meant truth. Humans had never chosen ignorance. The first direct response. For the first time in history, humanity sent a question into the wormhole, not coordinates, not math, a simple message. "Who are you?" The reply came instantly, no delay, no distortion, only one sentence. "We are the reason you are still alive." Fear and gratitude collide. The message continued. "Galaxies die, civilizations destroy themselves. We watch, we protect. But protection has a cost." Dr. Carter understood. Freedom was the cost, the hidden rule. The Watchers sent one final rule. "You may explore your galaxy, you may dream, but you may not leave. Leaving breaks balance." The Milky Way was a sanctuary and a boundary. End of Part 4. Cliffhanger. Dr. Carter asked the final question. "What happens if we break the rule?" The reply came slowly, cold, certain. "Then we stop watching and we act." The signal ended. The stars outside Earth still looked beautiful, but now they felt like eyes watching, waiting. For the first time in history, humanity felt small, not weak, not ignorant, but controlled. The Watchers' message spread among world leaders. It was not shown to the public, but fear does not need permission to travel. It moved quietly. From meeting rooms to sleepless nights to angry thoughts, humans were told they were protected, but protection without choice felt like a cage. Freedom is a dangerous idea. Dr. Elias Carter stood before a closed council. No cameras, no speeches, no hope. According to them, he said, "We are alive because they allow it." A general slammed his hand on the table. "So we are pets now?" he asked. No one answered because everyone felt the same thing. Anger. The human problem. Humans have one weakness. They do not like limits. They accept rules until the rules block dreams. Leaving the galaxy was not just science anymore. It became a symbol of freedom. The hidden group. Not everyone agreed with the Watchers. A secret group formed quietly. Scientists, engineers, philosophers. They called themselves the Breakers. Their belief was simple. If a rule exists, it can be broken. Dr. Carter's inner conflict. Dr. Carter knew about the group. He did not join, but he did not stop them. He remembered the probe, the empty darkness outside the galaxy, the silence. Maybe the Watchers were right, or maybe fear was the real prison. The forbidden plan. The Breakers did not want to leave the galaxy, not yet. They wanted to test the rule, to see if the Watchers would react. They planned something small, something quiet. They would create an artificial wormhole. Very weak, very short, not for travel, only to open the door for 1 second, to knock. Building the key. The device was built in space, far from Earth, hidden near a dead star. It used massive energy, more power than any human machine before. Dr. Carter watched the data secretly. His heart was heavy. He knew once this started, there was no turning back. The moment of choice. The device powered up. Space trembled. Stars nearby bent slightly. Time slowed. For 1 second, a wormhole opened. Nothing came out, nothing went in, just a ripple, a knock on the door of the galaxy. The immediate response. The Watchers answered instantly. Not with words, with action. Every satellite around Earth lost signal for exactly 10 seconds. Planes lost navigation. Clocks froze. Then everything returned to normal. No damage, no deaths, just a message sent clearly. "We noticed." The message that followed. A signal arrived, clearer than ever before. "We're warned." The council listened in silence. Then the message continued. "You believe freedom means escape. You are wrong. The truth about other galaxies." The Watchers showed something new. Images, not pictures, memories, civilizations that left their galaxies, worlds that collapsed, species that did not survive the dark. Most galaxies were empty because life does not spread easily. It dies easily. The hard truth. Dr. Carter spoke softly. "The universe is not kind." He said, "It is cold." Maybe the Watchers are not jailers. Maybe they are gardeners. Some listened, some did not. The human rebellion grows. The Breakers were not convinced. They believed the Watchers only showed what they wanted. Fear is a powerful leash. They planned a second attempt, this time bigger, not a knock, a step. Dr. Carter chooses a side. Dr. Carter finally spoke to them. "If you do this," he said, "they will not warn us again. They will act." A Breaker replied, "Then at least we will die free." Those words stayed with him. The second door, the second wormhole opened wider, stronger, more unstable. For a moment, something was visible inside, not darkness, movement, a shadow. Something noticed the opening, something turned toward it. Fear becomes real. The Watcher's final message came, slow, heavy. "This universe is balanced. You are not ready. If you open the door again, we will close it forever." What does forever mean? Dr. Carter understood. Closing the door did not mean killing humans. It meant isolation. No more signals, no more exploration, no more answers. Humanity would be alone, truly alone. The vote. The council voted, not for power, not for pride, for survival. The project was shut down. The Breakers were stopped. The door was sealed. The aftermath. Earth returned to normal. People laughed, loved, fought small fights. They never knew how close everything came to ending. The stars still shined, But now humans knew freedom has a price, and some doors once opened can never be closed the same way again. End of Part 5. Cliffhanger. Dr. Carter looked at the sky. He whispered one last thought. What if the Watchers are not the strongest ones? And what if they are afraid too? Far away beyond galaxies, something shifted. The universe is very old, much older than humans, much older than the Watchers, and in that long time fear was born. A fear even Watchers don't speak about. After the rebellion failed, the Watchers went silent. No messages, no signals, no warnings. For many this felt like peace. For Dr. Elias Carter it felt worse. Silence from power is never comfort, it is preparation. The data that should not move. Months later, a quiet alert appeared, not loud, not urgent, just strange. Dark regions between galaxies were changing, not growing brighter, not exploding. They were moving very slowly, like shadows sliding across space. Dr. Carter stared at the data. Darkness should not move like this, he said. What lies between galaxies is mostly nothing. Cold, empty, dead, no stars, no light. That emptiness was once believed safe. Now it was not still. A hidden layer of reality. Scientists realized something terrifying. What humans called empty space was not empty, it was layered, like deep water. Galaxies lived on the surface. Below them, something older existed, something that did not need stars. The Watchers finally speak. The Watchers returned. Their message was different this time, not calm, not controlled, careful. You have noticed the movement, they said. We hoped you would not. Dr. Carter felt a chill. Notice what? He asked. The name that should not exist. The Watchers sent one word. A name. The drift. They explained in simple terms. The drift is not a species, not a machine, not alive in a human way. It is a process, a slow force that erases complexity. Stars fade faster near it, galaxies grow quiet, life disappears. Why galaxies are protected. The Watchers revealed the truth. Galaxies are not prisons, they are lifeboats. Islands of structure in a universe slowly falling apart. The drift lives in the space between, and it is spreading. The real reason humans cannot leaving the galaxy means entering the drift, where time breaks, where matter loses meaning, where memory fades. Civilizations that tried to cross between galaxies were not destroyed, they were forgotten, even by the universe. The Watchers' true role. The Watchers were not rulers, they were keepers. Their task was simple: protect galaxies, limit curiosity, slow the spread of knowledge. Because knowledge leads to movement, and movement leads to the drift. A terrifying balance. Dr. Carter understood. Freedom threatens balance, exploration threatens survival. Every civilization reaches the same point: stay safe or seek truth. Most choose truth, most vanish. Why humans were different. The Watchers admitted something rare. Your species hesitates, they said. You argue, you doubt. That has kept you alive. Humans were not brave, they were conflicted. That conflict saved them. The drift is aware. Then came the worst part. The drift reacts. It is not alive, but it responds to complexity. Advanced civilizations attract it, like heat attracts cold. Human signals, human wormholes, human curiosity. They were becoming visible. A new threat direction. The drift was not trying to enter the Milky Way. It was already close, touching the galaxy's outer dark matter, slowly draining energy. Stars near the edge were aging faster. The galaxy was bleeding. A choice bigger than freedom. The Watchers gave humans a choice, not about leaving, about helping. You can remain protected, they said, or you can learn how to slow the drift. Helping meant knowledge, dangerous knowledge, the kind that destroys civilizations. Dr. Carter's final question. Why tell us? Dr. Carter asked. The Watchers answered honestly. Because we are tired. We have watched too long. And because you will face this choice anyway. The hidden price to fight the drift. Humans would need to change. Less expansion, less noise, less hunger for stars, not conquerors, caretakers. This went against human nature. The silent agreement. Earth's leaders listened. No votes were taken. Some choices are too heavy. The Watchers faded again, leaving humans with truth and fear. The new understanding. The Milky Way was not forever. Nothing was. It was a temporary shelter. A pause against a universe that slowly forgets itself. End of Part 6. Cliffhanger. Dr. Carter looked at the night sky. He no longer saw freedom or cages. He saw time running out. He whispered, if the drift cannot be stopped, what happens when it reaches the center? Far beyond stars, the darkness continued to move. Time was no longer on humanity's side. The drift was slow, but it never stopped. The galaxy is getting older faster. Scientists noticed the change clearly now. Stars near the edge of the Milky Way were dying early. Their light was weaker. Their heat was fading. It was like watching a living body lose blood. The galaxy was not screaming, it was quietly failing. Dr. Elias Carter looked at the data and whispered, this is how galaxies die. No escape, no rescue, there would be no help from outside. Other galaxies were too far, too silent, too empty. The Watchers could only slow things down, they could not stop the drift. For the first time, humanity understood something painful. They were on their own. A different kind of survival. Old human ideas failed. No war could stop this. No weapon could fight darkness. No ship could outrun time. This was not about power, it was about choice. Dr. Carter addressed the world's leaders. We cannot save everything, he said, but maybe we can save something. The unthinkable idea of the plan was shocking, not to expand, not to escape, but to shrink, reduce energy use, reduce star damage, reduce noise in space, become quiet, harder to notice, like hiding from a storm. The silent civilization theory. There was an old idea in science. Advanced civilizations do not disappear, they go silent, they stop spreading, they stop shouting into space. They turn inward. Dr. Carter believed this was not fear, it was wisdom. What humans must give up to slow the drift, humanity had to change. No more endless growth, no more galaxy-wide dreams, no more rushing to the stars. Exploration would continue, but carefully, slowly, with respect. This felt like failure to many, to others it felt like maturity. The hardest decision, the biggest sacrifice was this: humanity would never leave the Milky Way. Not now, not ever, not as conquerors. This was not a rule forced by watchers. This was a decision made by humans. Dr. Carter's message to Earth. Dr. Carter spoke in a global address. Not with fear, with honesty. We are not trapped, he said. We are choosing to stay. This galaxy gave us life, and now it needs protection. A new purpose. Humans stopped dreaming of escape. They started dreaming of balance, protecting stars, studying time, understanding decay, not to win, but to delay the end. Every year gained mattered. Every star saved mattered. The drift slows. Something incredible happened. Very slowly, the drift's movement weakened near the Milky Way. Not stopped, but resisted. The galaxy fought back, not with force, with structure, with order. Life itself was resistance. The Watchers' final visit. The Watchers appeared one last time. Their message was short. You chose wisely. Few ever do. They did not offer praise, they offered respect. Then they left, forever. Humanity grows quiet. Earth changed. Cities became calmer, technology became cleaner, space became careful again. Humans still looked at the stars, but now they look with responsibility. Dr. Carter's last thought. Years later, Dr. Carter stood under the night sky. Older now, tired, but peaceful. He no longer asked how to leave, he asked how to care. A hope, not an ending. The universe will end one day, the drift will reach everything. But not today. And not quietly. As long as life exists, the universe will be remembered. End of Part 7. Cliffhanger toward finale. Dr. Carter smiled softly and whispered, maybe the purpose of life is not to escape the universe, but to give it meaning before it forgets itself. Far away, the Milky Way continued to glow, not eternal, but alive. Final part coming next. The universe will not remember humans, not forever. Stars die, galaxies fade. Even time forgets itself, but for a short moment humans were here. A quiet galaxy. The Milky Way had changed. Not in size, not in beauty, but in behavior. Human signals became fewer, exploration slowed, noise disappeared. From the outside, the galaxy looked calm. From the inside, it was alive with care. The new kind of civilization. Humanity did not stop dreaming. They changed what they dreamed about, not escaping, not conquering, but understanding. They studied stars to protect them. They studied time to respect it. They studied life to preserve it. This was not weakness, it was growth. Dr. Elias Carter's final years. Dr. Elias Carter was very old now. He no longer worked in control rooms. He sat under open skies, watching stars rise and fall. Young scientists often visited him. They asked the same question: did we give up our future? Dr. Carter always smiled gently. No, he said. We chose a better one. The question humans stopped asking. Once humans asked, how do we leave? Now they asked, how do we stay without destroying? This single change saved them. The truth about freedom. Freedom was never about distance. It was never about speed. True freedom was choice with responsibility. Humans learned that too late, but not too late. The drift reaches the edge far away. The drift still moved, slow, silent, patient. Would reach the Milky Way one day. That truth never changed. But now the galaxy was ready, not to win but to last. A message never sent. Humanity created a final message. Not for aliens, not for watchers, for the universe itself. It was never transmitted, it was stored, hidden in light, in art, in stories. A record that said we were small, we were fragile, but we cared. Why that matters. The universe does not need humans, but meaning does, without witnesses. Beauty is silent, without memory existence is empty. Humans were witnesses for a moment. The final night on Earth under a dark sky, children still looked up, they still asked questions. What is out there? Why are we here? And humanity finally had an answer: to understand, to protect, to remember. Dr. Carter's last words on his final night. Dr. Carter watched the Milky Way one last time, a river of light across the sky. He whispered softly, maybe the universe does not ask us to escape it. Maybe it asks us to care for it. He closed his eyes peacefully. The galaxy continues. Life went on. Stars burned, planets turned, the drift waited, but something had changed forever. The universe had been noticed, loved, understood. Final truth. Ending lines for voiceover. Humans never left the Milky Way, but they left something else behind, meaning, and maybe that was enough.